What's up, my entrepreneurship peeps? It's your buddy Mr. Stanger here, and we're here to talk about the marketing part of entrepreneurship. Today, we're going to talk about two of the biggest keys in making a business successful. They both focus on marketing, but they're a little bit different. Now, as we go through everything that we learned today, the key to remember is these two different things are different things. And oftentimes, what confuses people the most is they try and lump them into one thing. They both have similar names. And I'll tell you right now, one's the marketing mix and one's the promotion mix. If you confuse these two, try your hardest to pay attention during this lecture. Now, the first thing that we want to talk about is what we call the marketing mix. What the marketing mix is it's pretty much just a series of things that you need to go through to make sure that you're meeting the needs of all your customers as you go through the process of getting your product in the market that you want. So before we talked about our target customer, right? We've talked about target marketing, different kinds of market segmentation. And now that we know who we want to get it to, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're addressing the needs and wants of those actual customers. Now, the way that we do that is through the marketing mix. The marketing mix is also known as the 4 P's of marketing. And if you've taken one of my classes or another one of the marketing teachers here at Weber, you've probably heard of this term before, the 4 P's of marketing. The 4 P's to help you out are product, price, place, and promotion. Okay, let's talk about product first. Product can be one of two things. It can either be a good or a service. The major difference between these two things, a good is tangible or you're able to touch it, and a service is intangible. You're not really able to touch it, and it's something that's actually performed for you. Let's give you a couple examples of a good or a service. A good could be something like this Windex bottle, or an Arizona, or even an Oreo. Something that you can touch and feel, and something that you can actually use by yourself. A service would be something like a car wash, or maybe a haircut. Something that someone is doing for you and helping you with as you go. Now, with this product, even though a good and a service are two different things, they're both a product, and there are a couple things that we need to actually remember about these two. One thing that has to deal with the product is its name or brand. What's the name of the product? Is it branded? Is it part of a bigger brand? Is it a shoe that has a Nike swish on it? Is it an Oreo that's part of the Oreo brand but is just a little bit different than something else that they already have? Other things that we need to know with our product is, what are the features that it has? Is it something that actually provides us benefits by having certain features? An example might be when Nike Shox first came out, they had this feature where they claimed you could jump really high. That's a new feature that actually didn't exist before. These shocks in your shoes that made it easier for you to jump. Other things that you might want to know when you're talking about the product, what kind of sizes is it going to have? If you're a hydro flask, are you going to provide like a 44 ounce, a 32 ounce, a 12 ounce, and all sorts of things like that? Or are you only going to offer one? What kinds of colors is it in? How is it different from your competition? Are there other things that are like it and you're pretty similar, but you're just different in a little different kind of way? I said different 10 times. Just know that I'm stupid when I'm recording these. And I apologize if it's confusing. Other things that you need to know: what kind of materials is it made out of? You're going to think differently about something based on the materials that it's made of. Think about shirts. You automatically think different about a product if it's made of like that hard cotton, like the Gildan shirts that you get at a Jazz game, versus the soft cotton that you might get at a Vans store. Those kinds of things, like the materials that it's made of, make a difference. Okay, those can go in your notes. I would rewind me if you need to get some of that stuff back in, because I can't write it all on the board, and I do apologize for that. The next one that I want to talk about is place. Things to remember about this are how it gets to you, or distribution. You could also think about what stores it's sold in. And I also want you to think about where in the store it's sold in. All of these things are part of marketing. Now, the reason that we talk about place a lot, let me give you a couple of examples. So, distribution channels, or how it gets to you, also includes what stores it's sold in. Now, if it's sold on Amazon, it probably is just like the basic product and you can see it anywhere. And it's hard to tell how it's going to get to you. You just know it'll come through the mail, right? The difference in distribution on online stuff might be the type of like shipping that it has. Is it FedEx? Is it just through USPS? But when it's sold in a physical store, those things change what you think of a product a lot. Let's think about a watch for a second. Now, this watch is sold in 3 different stores. You've made this watch, it's super pretty, it's got bling on it, it looks really good, and you decide that you're going to sell it in Nordstrom's, in Zumiez, and in Walmart. And let's talk about how where it's sold and what stores it's sold in actually affect what you think of that watch. When you're at Nordstrom's, you probably look at it and it's next to Rolexes, it's next to pretty nice watches. And because it's Nordstrom's, you automatically give it a different value because you're like, it's Nordstrom's. It's got to be nice, right? If this store is willing to carry it, it's got to be the best on the market. It gives you a different perceived value based on nothing more than the store that it's sold on. If it's sold at Zumiez, you're probably thinking, man, this watch is probably durable. It's sold next to Nixon's. It's the new hip thing. We're going to sell it, maybe not for as much as we would at Nordstrom's, but it's going to have a different perceived value because you're viewing it almost as a skate brand because of nothing more than where you're selling it. The same watch could be sold at Walmart, and just based on it being at Walmart, you're like, this is probably going to be cheap. I'm buying it just because I need a watch, not because I think it's anything special, but because I know that this watch is here and it's easy to buy. Now, the thing to remember is what stores you sell in can also be part of what your target market is looking for. If I'm targeting someone in like their mid-teens to like early 20s, Zumiez might be a great idea. Walmart might not be. Some of you guys might refuse to shop for clothing or watches at Walmart because you don't think that's the image that you want to have. So when you're deciding what stores to sell it in, it's very, very important to think of who your target market is and what the perceived value of that item will be at that store. Where in the store it's placed is also super important. So I bought like a little kickstand thing for my phone. It looks like a little turtle and I stick it to the back. It's a suction cup. And I bought it for like $1.25. I saw it in the checkout line and I was like, ooh, easy convenience purchase. Let's just buy this. If it had been placed in electronics, I can almost guarantee I wouldn't buy it. Why? Because I would have been like, this isn't a serious product. Why is it back here with all this other stuff? But because it was in the checkout stand, I was quick to buy it. Where it's placed in the store can also have a huge effect on if you'll buy it or not. Okay, we're going to go on to the next one. Price. Price is how much it costs for you and what you sell it for. So how much it costs for you. Sometimes to make something, it costs a little bit of money, right? And you have to make sure that you're selling it for a profit. The whole goal of any company in this entire world is to make a profit. You have to do something to make it so that the amount that you get it for is less than the amount that you sell it for. The idea of making something cost more than it costs you is the idea of markup. You need to mark up your prices to make it so that you can actually make money. If you're not making money, you'll fail as a company. Markup is the difference between the amount it costs you to the amount you're selling it for. Now, something that I want to talk about, we've kind of already talked about a little bit earlier, is the idea of perceived value. If you're charging more for something, you might just make people think it's worth more. You might not sell as many, but you might make people think that it's better than anything else. Now, let's look at some examples of this. An example that I can think of right now is the Travis Scott burger. You put a name to it and you said, this burger is $15 at McDonald's. And pretty much it's a McDouble with some bacon on it, right? However, they're making like $12 more because they make you think it's better with the perceived value of the image of Travis Scott, which is part of product, and just marking it up as more. And you guys are like, yeah, give me it all the time. Another idea might be the idea of Toyota and Lexus. I don't know if all of you guys know, but Toyota and Lexus are pretty much the same cars. They're just branded differently, and Lexus is viewed as a luxury line. You're pretty much buying the same car for more money. Why? Because they've made you think that it's worth more. One last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the idea of psychological pricing. Psychological. If I spelled that wrong, I apologize. Psychological pricing. One of the main ones that we focus on with psychological pricing is odd-even theory. You can put that in your notes. Odd-even theory. We're going to talk a lot about pricing later on. But the idea of odd-even theory is that anything that's an odd number makes you perceive it as something of value, like they're giving you a deal. So let's think about that. Something that's $9.99. You're like, oh my gosh, it's not even $10. I want to buy it. Let's buy it super fast. Or if it's $9.97, it's the same way. Your brain is trained automatically to think down. If it's $9.99, you're going to round down and say that it's $9, right? Most of you do that. Some of you guys are like, oh, I don't do that. Well, 99.9% of people do that, right? And so psychological pricing is the idea that we can make it so that people think that they're spending less money when they really aren't. I bought something the other day for $9,999.99. And when people ask me what I spent, I can't talk right now. I say that I spent $9,000. Well, really, I was 1 penny off of spending $10,000. So I'm kind of lying when you think about it. But that's what psychological pricing does to you. The whole goal is to make it so that people view you on the market and want to buy it. The last thing that we're going to talk about is promotion. And promotion, we're going to talk about the promotion mix in a second. But promotion is any form of communication that tries to do one of the following. inform, persuade, that's a you, or remind you about a product that's a good or a service. The whole goal is this is any form of communication that tries to get you to buy something. It's pretty basic, right? Okay, take a couple second break. I'm going to take a little break while I hurry and erase this. And we're going to talk about the promotion mix. Now you're going to use this 4 P's of marketing or the marketing mix to finish your 4 P's of marketing Oreo assignment. Make sure that you get that done. That's due on the 27th. I will put it on your grade this weekend and we'll make it all good. I apologize that I was late in making this video. I hope that this is helping a little bit for those of you that couldn't make it to class. The next thing that we want to talk about, though, is the promotion mix. I'm going to attach a couple different vocabulary words in a Google Doc above this, so hopefully you can get a lot of the vocabulary in you that you need. But the promotional mix is your key to success in marketing towards your target customer. Using the promotional mix, you use 4 major types of promotion to create a plan known as a promotional plan. You're like, man, that was really obvious, right? A promotional plan. They didn't get creative with the name on that one. But a promotional plan pretty much lays out everything that you're going to do. It talks about the goals of your campaign or your promotion that you're running at that time, and then goes into how it's going to reach those goals by showing how it's using each of the 4 components of promotion. In order to understand this a little bit better, we're going to ask one of our buddies named Promotion Man to help us out. Now, Promotion Man helps us out because he has the super special power of promotion. And he looks something like this. It's super corny, I know, but it works. He's going to have an arm something like that, and he's going to have 3 things that he's shouting at all times. He'll have a hand sticking out this way. I think that's 5 fingers. If it's not, he's going to be a little bit interesting and not have 5 fingers. He likes to ride horses, so he's going to come out here and he's going to be a little bit bow-legged. Okay, this is Promotion Man, and he's always happy because he's a baller shot caller. He's going to make it so that you succeed. Now, the first thing that we're going to fill in here are the goals of promotion. We've already kind of talked about them. But the goals of promotion are to inform, persuade, and remind you about a good or a service. Their whole goal is to promote something. They want you to actually be informed, be persuaded to buy it, or remind you that you want it. The whole goal is to make it so that it's going to work and you're going to buy it. Now, let's talk about the 4 components of the actual promotional mix. There are 2 things that you stand on. You stand on feet, and so does Promotion Man. His 2 feet that he stands on are the 2 things that are used the most and oftentimes simultaneously. Just like when you walk, you use your feet simultaneously. And those 2 things are going to be advertising and sales promotion. Advertising and sales promotion. These are how you reach a lot of people. I like to say it's one to many. Meaning that you can make one advertisement and get it in front of a crap ton of people. The whole goal is that this can be mass marketing. You want to get it in front of as many people as you can. Now, advertising is a paid form of communication to get people to come to your store. Ideas like TV ads, radio, print, and social media are some of the ideas that fill in for advertising. Now, you have probably all seen an advertisement today. Whether it was on your social media as you scrolled, you went to a website and there was a little side panel, you drove around and you saw a billboard, all of those things can actually be considered advertising. Advertising can be expensive, but it's worth it oftentimes because you can get it in front of a ton of people. Sales promotion oftentimes works hand in hand with advertising. Sales promotion deals with words like BOGO. You're like, what's BOGO? It's buy one, get one. 50% off. Going out of business. My handwriting is bad. I'm sorry. Going out of business. Loyalty programs might even be one. So these are things that they're trying to do to actually entice you into their store. Things can be like BOGO. So how many of you guys go to Bath and Body Works when they do a BOGO sale on their soap? You're like, heck yeah, I want that soap. It's so good. I'm going to go to Bath and Body Works, and their sales promotion work to actually get you in there. Some of you guys might be like, Nike's 50% off this weekend. We're going to Nike. And their sales promotion work to get you to go in and buy things. Loyalty programs might keep you from shopping somewhere else. I only shop at Smith's because I have a Smith's card. And I know if I use their loyalty program, I can get cheaper gas. It keeps me going there time and time again. Going out of business, some of you guys are like, that doesn't make sense. How is that a sales promotion? But let's think of some people that almost use this as a marketing campaign. How many of you guys have drove down Riverdale Road and there's that I think it was Crown Bedroom at one point, or Crown Furniture, and then it was like Knights Furniture or something. They always do something medieval, and they always have the mannequin in front shaking its booty and saying, going out of business sale. And everybody stops there because they're like, they're going out of business. They must have great deals. The reason that it works is because we see going out of business and we see closeout sales. We see them as giving us a good product for less money. Gordman's is also known for this. Gordman's has been going out of business for 4 years. I think this time they might actually be going out of business, but in the past, it's still continued to go, right? And they've sold stuff continually. Some stores even give you free gifts with sales promotions to try and get you in. Think about RC Willie's. RC Willie's is like, if you spend $5,000, we'll give you this $2 soccer ball. You're like, oh my gosh, I really want that soccer ball, so I'm going to buy a new TV. Does it work? Yeah, it works great. There's a reason that people use these two. These are used simultaneously and hand in hand oftentimes, and they work great. Okay, the next one that we're going to talk about is the elbow. This is what we call public relations. It's the elbow because it is reactive. Public relations is using what the actual community thinks of you to try and get yourself in the public eye. Now, public relations can oftentimes go good or bad, but there are certain marketers that will say there's no such thing as bad publicity. Sorry, I promise I can talk most of the time, but I've been talking fast to try and get this in a video. But there's no such thing as bad publicity. Some marketers say that. And you can think about that in a couple different ways. So if you say there's no such thing as bad publicity, you can look at like the Papa John's whole ordeal that went on. Papa John's made a crappy tweet. People got really pissed, including the board of directors, and they ended up making him sell his store. He lost everything. The NBA kicked him out of their stadiums. The NFL kicked him out of their stadiums. And before you knew it, his publicity that he started ruined his company and pretty much forced them to change directions almost completely. But then, I don't like to talk politics, but if you look at Donald Trump in the last election, He didn't care what he said, good or bad. If he was in the public eye, he was like, people are thinking about me, so it's working. And it ended up that he won the election. People were thinking about him all the time. I don't talk politics, so you don't know my opinion one way or the other. I'm just saying that publicity-wise, he did something correctly because people kept thinking about him. Some of them were for bad things, some of them were for good things. But when we think about it, we always had his name in our mouth, no matter what side you were on. Okay. The biggest thing to remember with this, you don't necessarily control it, but you can control how you react to it. The last one that I want to talk about is personal selling. Personal selling is one-to-one, meaning that I'm going out and I'm shaking someone's hand. That's why it's the hand, and saying, hi, nice to meet you. How can I help you today? I'd like to make it so that your wants and needs are fulfilled, and I can make it so that you're going to buy my stuff. It's the salesman pitch. It works a lot. One thing to remember, though, personal selling is the most expensive form of promotion. You're like, well, some people pay for an advertisement during the Super Bowl, and it's like $50 million. How does that make sense when they pay $50 million for a 30-second ad? When it comes down to it, when they're paying for that advertisement, a crap ton of people, I'd say like 500 million. That's probably way off. I don't actually know how many people watch the Super Bowl. But that many people see their advertisement and they view that as worth it because they're getting in front of that many people. For me to actually send a salesman or to personally sell to somebody that way, it would cost me so much money in HR costs, I'd probably go bankrupt. I can't actually go out and talk to that many people very easily. But the thing that's nice, even though it is the most expensive, it is also the most effective. Why? Because it's a lot harder for you to say no to me talking to you than it is for you to say no to a billboard or a TV ad. And it allows me to actually find out what your needs and wants are and adjust what I can to make sure that your needs are fulfilled. Personal selling might be expensive, but it addresses the needs that you want, your needs and your wants. Welcome to my day where I can't talk. But it makes it so that we can adjust and make it all work. If you have questions on this, let me know. The only other thing that I'm going to actually talk about is a schedule of events. Now, we talked about promotional plans briefly. Now we're going to talk about a schedule of events. A schedule of events is pretty much a calendar that shows when your promotions are taking place and for how long they're going to run. So in a promotion plan, pretty much what you're doing is you're creating goals. You're then going to create an idea of what you want to do, say when you're going to do it with a schedule of events, and then give a budget. Now, a schedule of events can look something like this. It might be a calendar, and it's going to be for July in this one. And I'm going to say, right here's my calendar, and I'm going to say every Wednesday, I want to make a social media post. So I make a social media post, I put the price in parentheses, and I'm going to say that I want to boost it for 2 days. So every Wednesday, I do social media post, put the price, it's right there, social media price, make it for 2 days, social media price, make it for 2 days. Maybe I want a billboard that lasts 2 weeks, and I'm going to draw this out for 2 weeks, and I'm going to write billboard and put the price. And the idea of this is that you can make sure that people are always learning about your good or service. You don't want to overwhelm people by spending all of your promotional budget in 1 week, unless that's your blitz week and you're just wanting to make it so that people are always thinking about it. You want to make it so that they can think about it on every single day and maybe target them in different ways with different kinds of promotions. Now, for your assignment, you're actually creating a promotional plan for something of your choice. Make sure that you check out the assignment. If you don't understand it, please reach out to me. I'll make sure that you can get the necessary information that you need. I hope y'all are doing well. I'm having a good time. Stanger out, guys. See ya.